At the westernmost limits of Britain sit two proud neighbours. Devon.
No one ever sees the scenery that I see, and it is absolutely fantastic.
And across the River Tamar, Cornwall.
How can you not walk through this and feel your soul lift?
Whether drawn here...
It was amazing going through the tunnel for the first time. It was cool.
Or born here.
Good to meet you. I'm Jack. What's your name?
There are many deep-rooted folk.
Our family's been doing that in Devon since the 1300s. There's nowhere better, is there?
Living off the lush lands.
Gorgeous runner beans. They're going to the market tomorrow.
And stunning seas.
Look at those beauties. You can't get fresher than that.
Passionately preserving traditions, old.
Being a Cornishman to work on this is a very special moment.
And new.
I'm massively competitive, but I want to just live that childhood dream.
In the place they call home.
We pinch ourselves every day. So lucky to be able to call this home.
These are their stories. This is Devon and Cornwall. Devon, a county burgeoning with ancient trades. From wool merchants spinning a profit off the backs of their moorland sheep, to woodsmen carving out a living using forestry skills. Here time ticks to its own beat, as artisans today sustain their craft in much the same fashion as their forebears.
Well, this whole job's about real history and feeling history, and the bit that really works for me is just trying to get in the head of the person who made this first and trying to work out how they did it.
Father and son, Mike and Greg Rowland, are master wheelwrights, forging a product that has been helping the world go round for thousands of years. Just around 25 miles east of Exeter lies the market town of Collyton, where the family have been turning out wheels since the 14th century. The trade is branded deep into their DNA.
Basically, our family's been doing that in Devon since the 1300s, so I haven't got a lot of choice, really, have I? You're never going to get rich, but you've just got to love everything you do. And the day you don't is the day you've got to stop, really.
The small team handcraft all manner of tackle that harks back to times gone by. And Greg's latest task is no exception.
They're great-looking things, aren't they?
Two new steel-spoked wheels for an 1860s bone shaker bike.
We don't very often make them with these metal spokes, do we?
No.
Have you ever done that?
Never.
And you've been doing this,
Never.
what, 70-odd year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit new for us as well. I love the history of things like this and what it means. The guy who invented the bike was a real clever old stick. I'd love to go back there and see how it was then.
Well, especially with the tools that they got to use, wasn't it?
Did you ride one to school?
No, I didn't.
Invented in France, the Velocipede was the first bicycle to be made with pedals. A forerunner to the more famous penny farthing, its notoriously uncomfortable ride earned it the nickname, the Bone Shaker.
We won't be starting from scratch as such because we've got this one to copy. So what we've got here is a bone shaker wheel. Normally you see them with wooden spokes, but this one has a steel spoke. So somebody back in 1860 had quite a good idea.
Steel-spoked wheels for bicycles were a revolutionary new invention in the late 1860s. Although it seems a simple construction, this is somewhat of a jigsaw puzzle. So Greg kicks off by marking out a template from the one surviving original wheel.
This is my wheel size, and I've marked where all the spokes go as well. So this now is a perfect reference for me to make from and to measure from. I've got the hub sizes, I've got all the spoke length. This is what we do with every wheel because you need that reference to go back to, so everything's always drawn out.
Now with a working pattern, he can start on the hub, which connects the wheel to the frame of the bike.
We've turned the hub to replicate what was in the old. You need to put 2 hub rings on each end, and then these lines here are where the spokes have got to go.
Wood turning is a practice that has evolved over thousands of years.
It's not my favourite job in the shop, but everything I do involves turning of some kind, so if I didn't have to do it again, I wouldn't be that disappointed.
It may be hard work, but one thing Greg loves is getting his hands on first-rate raw materials.
It's not me that's made it beautiful, it's the wood that's beautiful. I've just maybe polished it and shined it up a bit, but it's nature that's done that for me.
With a wealth of woodland on his doorstep, for the next piece of the puzzle, Greg's using ash sourced less than 10 miles away.
Now these are going to be what we call the fellows or fellies, and that's just part of wood around the outside that holds everything together. Now, obviously they're not curved, so they'll go into this box. We're going to steam bend them.
And when it comes to putting the squeeze on, Greg is happy to use a sprinkling of newfangled technology.
I've got a couple of wallpaper steamers, which is the best way for me to generate steam easily. And they'll go in there for about an hour.
Giving Greg time to check in with his colleague, Dave, who's been lovingly fitting each individual steel spoke to the wheel hub using tallow or sheep's fat.
No, I'll chuff for that. It looks really good.
That's all right, isn't it?
Amazing how close it is to a modern bike wheel, isn't it?
Yeah.
This guy in 1860 had some nous about him, I think. I wonder what people thought when he first came out with this bike and went, look what I've made. I bet they all went, what are you doing with metal spokes, you blinking fool? No, I like that. I do. It's a bit of fun, isn't it? A bit different.
Back in the day, nearly every village in the country would have boasted its own wheelwright. But now, with less than 50 working in the UK, Greg is keen to pass on his knowledge, so colleague Sam is on hand to help steam bend the wood.
It's my first time in doing it, but, you know, I love it, and, yeah, hopefully one day I can carry on the trade.
Curving the wood calls for a light touch.
And go. You broke it, Sam.
But with a backup piece to hand, they're good to go again.
Right, you start cramping. We'll leave it there to set now for a fair old bit. We'll let that get cold there before we take the cramps off. And I'll put a batten across just to hold it. And that should be one of them. Another 4 to go.
For the wheel to work, the pieces must fit flawlessly together. But with only one old wheel to base the reconstruction on, could there be bumps in the road ahead for Greg and the team?
Looks pretty good.
Washed by the encircling seas, Cornwall is a land where many a seafarer has dropped anchor and found a home. Whether born here or drawn here, boats are a big deal for Cornish folk. And in a few days' time, in the harbour of Fowey on the south coast of Cornwall, some of her top-notch sailors will be battling it out for a Jubilee prize.
There's our little lady again. Here she is, beauty.
This little lady's owners, Brenda and Terry Cole, will be pushing the boat out to celebrate the Fowey River Dinghy class's 70th anniversary this year.
It's out in the fresh air, so what's not to like? The backdrop is absolutely stunning. When the weather's like this, it's great.
It is a lovely place, there's no doubt about it, and we're lucky to use it as our playground.
These hand-built wooden boats first took to the waters here on the River Fowey in 1950. And for those who sail them, they're in a class of their own.
I've always liked classic boats anyway, so this is just a bit of a love. This is our beautiful rudder. Look at that. Now, that on its own is a work of art.
As for steering to success in this weekend's regatta, the omens could be in their favour too.
The 70 element gelled because this is our 70th year. We got married in 1970, but this year was the 70th anniversary of the Fowey River boat itself. So together, the whole lot just seemed to click. So here we are.
But Terry and Brenda know this weekend's races will be hotly contested.
Sailing for me, well, I love the racing side of it. You get the breeze in the sail and off you go.
So this is their last chance for a dry run in the Gabbiano, Italian for seagull, to take the helm for a saucy swoop on the prizeware.
All right, gonna throw one in, ready? There we go.
The boats originally were designed to be a fun boat, and while they still are fun, anytime you get more than 2 or 3 people together, there's an element of competition. We can be quite competitive as well.
With Fowey River bragging rights at stake, nothing can be left to chance. And back at the mooring, a last-minute scrub to Gabbiano's bottom could help leave her rivals behind.
Well, get him as smooth as possible, get less drag, and there's light airs forecast for the regatta, so we want this as smooth as possible if we can get it, and hopefully it'll pay off, and we get somewhere up the fleet for a change.
It's race day, and as the mist lifts above Fowey Harbour, the dinghy fleet is braced for the start of the action. Competitors have travelled from across Cornwall ready to do battle on the water. But for father and son team Richard and Robin Sylvie, there's much more than just the racing to enjoy.
My boat is number 5. She's probably 60 years old. It's a privilege. Fowey is a jewel in a jewel of a county. When I'm down here, all the cares of home, I'm a bit of a farmer at home, and all the worries about that just disappear. And you're just in a little Garden of Eden, really.
Back on the good ship Gabbiano, race nerves are ramping up.
Well, we just go through everything, making sure everything's okay. Once you start sailing, everybody's right on it. The cannon for the start, the adrenaline starts pumping then. And the more boats that are around you, there's more adrenaline. Simple as that.
With the racing in Fowey about to get underway, Terry and Brenda are now shipshape and ready to go. Later, on Devon and Cornwall, winemaker Simon weeds out the ingredients for his next vintage.
Nettles makes a fantastic, fantastic drink, but might be pushing it a bit to sort of say it's a bit like a Sauvignon Blanc.
But not everyone's easily convinced.
It's going to be interesting.
And can Cornish hedger John restore a classic stretch?
The only thing, if you've got a herd of cows in the field, they love to rub into the fresh soil. This could be all on the ground again by tomorrow morning, like, you know, that's...
With its sweeping golden sands and rolling green hills, Tor Bay in South Devon has long been seen as the land of milk and honey. An order of medieval monks certainly thought so. Their magnificent Tor Abbey was established here in 1196, complete with its tower, cloisters, and its own brewery. Today, artisan drinks maker Simon Aykroyd is following the friars' fermentations, whilst planning to give their old habits a new sparkle.
I don't want to just make another wine or another cider or another beer. I want to make something quirky and different.
Tor Abbey lies just west of Torquay, a short sandal walk from the beach. Simon specialises in blending tipples from unexpected natural ingredients, and with the Abbey's well-stocked gardens, he's hoping for rich pickings.
First and foremost, you know, I'm a forager and I'm a gardener, and I'm also a scrounger as well. So actually, if I can actually come to a garden like this and actually find some amazing plants with some really, really interesting flavours, and that's great. But what I'm trying to do is find something different.
To rustle up the makings of his next vintage, Simon's meeting head gardener Ali Marshall.
Not so many flowers for you at this time of year, but we have got some interesting fruit coming up.
Fantastic. Wow.
And their first port of call is the impressive palm house.
I'm getting all these amazing smells from around here.
There's a wealth of fruits and exotic plants here from far-flung corners of the world. But Simon's not convinced that any have the right nose for what he needs.
Sometimes amazing aromas don't always translate to a great drink. I mean, it's like grapes. Grapes actually don't smell that great, but they make a great wine.
But after exploring the gardens, he's stung into action by something much more commonplace.
Oh, well, I feel really bad. You showed me all these beautiful flowers, amazing plants, and here we are in the nettle patch.
For his star ingredient, Simon has set his sights on a weed we've all been on the sharp end of, stinging nettles.
Actually, Nettles makes a fantastic, fantastic drink. It's really, really nice flavours. I might be pushing it a bit to sort of say it's a bit like a Sauvignon Blanc, but I'm really, really looking forward to trying it and just sort of seeing how the nettle wine works out.
This is probably a really good patch for you because it's fairly young growth, and I imagine that's what you need.
Yeah, I'm after basically a bit like a tea maker. I'm after the tips. So yeah, so the fresh tips would be perfect. What I'm trying to get is I'm trying to get an essence of the flavour of a certain region. You know, it's all about trying to create something really, really interesting that people will enjoy and people will feel. You know, like even if you just come and visit Devon, you know, you are getting a proper, genuine taste of Devon.
Simon will be enlisting Tor's volunteer gardeners Margaret Forbes Hamilton and David Garland as guinea pigs for his prickly potion. But they're more used to pulling nettles up than quaffing them down.
Well, I know they're edible, not just to the butterflies or the caterpillars. I haven't had nettle wine. It's going to be interesting.
I'm really drawn to that. I think it's good to try new things. Of course, you know, wine made from grapes is fantastic, but, you know, why not kind of experiment a little bit? I think it's really nice that Simon's doing something different as well.
Back in his winemaking studio, Simon carefully blends his nettles with yeast, sugar, and the juice of 60 lemons.
I just think this will really, really pull the flavours out of the nettles. I just think nettles and lemons, just perfect, perfect combination. So they've got fantastic medicinal qualities as well. Throughout history, people have used nettles for sort of a medicinal and culinary use. They're high in vitamins. You know, so it's not just about a great flavoured drink. I'm hoping, I mean, OK, it's alcoholic, but I'm hoping that there will actually be some goodness and stuff in there as well.
With staff at Tor Abbey set to taste the first sample, the plot's brewing.
I think it will be quite an exciting, different type of drink. But I'm hoping it will be really, really popular. But yeah, we'll find out when they get to taste it.
Simon's transforming his concoction into a sparkling wine. And for that, he needs the next phase to prove there's plenty of fizz. Cerno, the granite kingdom of Cornwall. Her outstanding landscape sculpted through millennia of human interactions with nature. Framing every patch of this rocky land are the humble Cornish Hedges. Neither a row of bushes nor a dry stone wall. Cornish Hedges are utterly unique. One of the guardians of the tradition of building these ancient structures is John Ely.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a part of Cornwall. Well, it's a living and breathing wall, really, a hedge. You know, they need to be looked after.
Based at his family farm at Bisso near Truro, John's one of a select band of master hedgers maintaining the craft. With more than 30 years hedging experience, he's passionate about preserving these distinctive monuments to Kerno's past.
It's an old-fashioned traditional art. I don't know if I'm a rare breed or not, like, it's stupid maybe, but it's...
With over 30,000 miles of Cornish hedges still in existence, John's skills are in high demand. And it's a calling which immerses him in some of the most breathtaking landscapes Cornwall has to offer. This morning, he's been called to some crucial repairs. Together with his trusty vintage tractor, he's heading to the spectacular World Heritage Site of Old Wheel Bassett, the 19th century tin and copper mine. Another proud monument to Cornwall's past industrial prowess.
It was really heavily mined for tin mining. There must have been thousands and thousands of men right throughout the valley. And sometimes you see a little drill mark on that stone there where a chap would have kept turning it and another man hitting it with a sledge. And that's the way they broke a stone, you know. It must have been really hard grafting, like, for them, like.
The foundation stones, or grounders, of the earliest hedges were laid 4,000 years ago, and these building techniques have been handed down through the ages.
I like to touch the stone. If I had a pair of gloves on, it wouldn't feel natural to, if you know what I mean, if you handle the stone.
Expertly perfecting the batter, the precisely curving face of the hedge, John's skills are now fixing these ancient stones firmly into Cornwall's future.
Obviously, each layer, you compact it so much and then add more and compact it, and then as you build the hedge up, it looks tight and it feels really tight, so it shouldn't go anywhere. If somebody from like 200 years back come here now, they stood there and they was looking at exactly what I was doing. If he was a stone hedger, he would have done exactly the same thing as what I'm doing here today.
Tamping the earth down is tough work, but there are plenty of perks.
It's so peaceful. Some of the places I go, especially the surroundings of here, you really appreciate your work.
Time rolls on, and John's repairs to this secluded site are almost done.
The only thing, if you've got a herd of cows in the field, the first thing they love is to rub into the fresh soil. You know, they like fresh soil. If they come over and rub it out, this could be all on the ground again by tomorrow morning, like, you know. It's
With a proper job done, it's time for John to step back and for nature to step up. Cornish hedges are the bedrock of a wonderful web of wildlife.
You know, in 12 months' time, you come back, in amongst this hedge, there'd be like insects and there'd be an array of, you know, wildlife, birds coming to and fro. You know, it's a good habitat for them. It still grabs me in the heart when I finish a hedge. Hopefully he'll be here for another 100, 150 years.
Stone by stone, course by course, John is maintaining this unique Cornish tradition. These ancient structures may have endured a rocky patch, but John is ensuring they have a solid future.
It's a passion, really, absolute passion. It's just in the blood. I just love my work. Can't say no more than that, really.
Later, on Devon and Cornwall, the heat's on for Greg to restore the bone shaker.
I've probably done one wooden bicycle wheel with metal spokes before this. And it's a little bit suck it and see.
And racers Terry and Brenda push the boat out.
We're in it to win it.
But can they snatch victory?
Oh, we want to come first, without a doubt. There's no two ways about that.
At the north end of Colleton, in East Devon, wheelwright Greg Rowland and his team are getting in a spin. making 2 new wheels for this 1860s Victorian velocipede, otherwise known as a bone shaker.
Bike wheels, they're really at the top. They're really hard to get right. These are probably the hardest wheels I've made for a little while.
Long before the comfort of pneumatic tyres made of rubber, these historic bikes were fitted with steel tyres, just an inch wide, with the rider feeling every bump and jolt, earning the bone shaker its name.
Is that it? So mark it there, and that's where we cut it.
Today is all about precision, marking out the steel before the tyres are cut and rolled, ready to be bonded to the wooden frame of the wheel.
So this is a tyre roller. Does exactly what it says on the tin. It rolls the tyres. Very local, this one, made in Exeter by Parkins, a firm still going, I believe. I think it's about 1850, one of those. It fits quite well that the bike's going to Exeter and that we're rolling the tyres in an Exeter-made machine. Sam did rugby training last night and he's hanging, so I'm making him do all the physical bits.
First session back as well. It's always the worst.
Once the tyres are rolled, they're then welded into a hoop. And for Greg, the temperature is rising as the tyre is roasted in the sweltering flames, ready to be bonded.
This won't take long to get hot. It's very thin steel. And we're looking for that gunmetal grey look about it.
Ensuring everything comes together level is vital. Otherwise, the bone shaker won't ride in a straight line.
If I lift it and it's too hot and it twists, well, that gives a twist into the wheel. If we tap it down too much in the wrong place, that gives another twist. So we want to try and avoid all of that and make life easy for ourselves if we can. And then just watch Dad watching disapprovingly if it goes wrong.
Under the vigilant eye of the old master, it's important they focus and get it right.
So don't be too heavy with the holding down. I've probably done 1 wooden bicycle wheel with metal spokes before this, and that's in 35 years, so they're a bit rare, and it's a little bit suck it and see. Right, that's it. OK, Sam, get some water on it. Either it's too loose and it doesn't go on, or it's too tight and it bends the spokes, so should be fine, but it's not something we do every day. Tap him round. Yeah, I'm happy with that, actually.
With the wheel complete, Greg has a moment to reflect on how a simple design has revolutionized the world.
People don't appreciate how important a bicycle is. It changed everything. Because if you look at the way these spokes are now, that's just like your MG sports cars or whatever. You back through. The double dish spoke wheels, well, they weren't around in 1865, but somebody had already invented the wheels to go on them.
The next job for Greg is to take the old wheels and parts off the bone shaker frame.
That's a very old, very heavy pedal. I suppose it gives you a bit of momentum when you're spinning it.
The pedals and drivetrain will be reattached to the new steel-spoked wheels.
As you drive, they're not a standard thread, they're whatever the blacksmith cut at the time. And I find this sort of thing incredible. This is 1865, so trains sort of just beginning. There wasn't any cars, a few horse-drawn carriages and whatever, but they've made that and they've just had the foresight to get all that engineering done with whatever they had at the time. We can make it modern, and that's okay if you're making something new, but because I'm restoring something that is 160 years old, if I make it all modern, then it loses a bit of its soul, doesn't it? It doesn't become what it was meant to be. Can you flush off that weld?
With a few finishing touches, the bone shaker is back in business, and the team can admire their handiwork.
Well, hasn't it changed the look of it? Do you know what? It looks better with metal spokes in.
Definitely.
It's feeling a bit special now, actually. It looks good.
I could imagine you riding this, Greg.
Do you think? Yeah, can you imagine with your top hat and your tails? Evening, ladies.
But the real road test is yet to come when Greg returns the bone shaker to its owner.
I'm really happy with how it's looked, and I do hope Mike's happy with it. I think we've been pretty faithful to how it should have looked, and actually I'm getting the feeling now that it does feel a little bit posh and a little bit... Look at my bone shaker.
Will this revolutionary bike turn back time when it takes to the road? In Fowey, in South Cornwall, the regatta to celebrate the 70th anniversary of its unique River Class dinghy is set to start. And husband and wife team Brenda and Terry Cole have nailed their colours and ambitions firmly to the mast.
Oh, we want to come first, without a doubt. There's no two ways about that, and we want to try and win it. But whether we will is anybody's guess.
We're in it to win it, yeah.
They're about to do battle with around 20 classic boats in the final racing round of the summer series.
Ready?
Yeah, ready to go.
Over at the Royal Fowey Yacht Club,
Walter, race office go.
organisers are busy with their final preparations. Race officer John Burford is busy charting a course that properly challenges today's sailors.
You could do a zigzag around these two, and then back to B and around, over there, then around the Silver Buoy. Happy with that?
Yep, go with that.
With the race course confirmed, back on the water, Brenda and Terry are raring to go.
It's all down to the start. Get a good start, you've got a half a chance. If you get back into the fleet, then you're getting what they call dirty air. You can then have problems. Hey guys. We are a friendly bunch, without a doubt, but you get the port and starboards and you get a bit of shouting going on.
With everyone under starter's orders.
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's soon a mad dash for the crucial first marker.
If you start to get excited, that's when you make mistakes. We tend to try and be calm. It doesn't always work.
And as the brightly coloured boats jostle for position, the killer instinct comes to the fore.
I don't know who's worse, actually. My dear wife, Bren, she's very, very competitive. If we're getting near the finish and we're doing quite well, she gives me quite a hard time to concentrate.
And with today's circuit proving such a meandering maze, everyone needs to knuckle down and stay focused.
The idea is you get what's called a beat, where the boats can't sail straight towards that mark, so they have to zigzag, and that's a sort of a tactical leg that you'll see the boats cross in and changing places. But then obviously they have to come back to do it again.
To the untrained eye, it's hard to pick a leader in the kaleidoscopic melee, but sailors have to really know their ropes to tack their way around the course. And as the race reaches its climax, Brenda and Terry are locked in a tense tussle for the podium.
OK, so we're on the last lap now. Our lead in Fowey River is Dave there. And the Rundles are in second. Philip Henson is third here, has just rounded this mark. Andy and Susie are fourth. Terry and Brenda, they're the top 5 at the moment.
And with wind speeds now hitting around 7 knots, they managed to cross the line in an impressive 5th place.
Over!
With the race wrapped up, peace and calm can return to the water, and the buzz and bustle transfers to the celebrations back on dry land. It's been a sparkling end to the season.
Really enjoyed it. It was kind of our conditions, which was nice. There's enough wind to sort of push you along, but not so much that it was, hang on, don't like this much.
For a couple of old fogies, we were quite pleased. Gave the youngsters a bit of a run, so that was OK. It's a special boat, and for the future, as long as it's looked after, who knows how long it can last for.
For now, the summer racing season may be over, laid up. But with the wind back in the sails of Fowey's classic wooden dinghies, they're set to power on for another 70 years. Later, On Devon and Cornwall, the pressure builds for winemaker Simon.
Wow, look at that.
But will his fizz hit the right spot?
What are you expecting?
I don't know. I have to admit, I'm not convinced by this yet. You know that, don't you?
And it's delivery day for the bone shaker. But will it pass Greg's road test?
I tell you what, it's bloody hard work.
At Torre Abbey Gardens in Torquay, South Devon, suspense is bubbling for a big day. Just a mile away at his studio, artisan drinks maker Simon Aykroyd is checking whether his sparkling nettle wine is ripe for the first tasting session at the Abbey.
It's always exciting, sort of sense of anticipation. I don't actually know what this will taste like.
Simon needs to know whether his first batch has that all-important fizz.
This is where, hopefully, there's pressure in there. So I'm just going to dip it in a bit of water just to help that plug come out, just to sort of lubricate it a bit. Otherwise, they can be prone to stick. And then, using my special stick, I pull this back. Wow, look at that. I think there's a bit of fizz in that. Fantastic. Such a strong aroma. Yeah, really, really epitomises, to me, that epitomises on a spring day when you're walking through the woods and you can smell like the new growth. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that. Really, really pleased. Fantastic.
Simon's now popping the cork on a whole new chapter in the Abbey's brewing history. The medieval monks would have produced beer and cider, but today head gardener Ali Marshall is keen to see all of Torre Abbey's plants put to good use.
This garden, you know, goes back for 900 years or so. So things have been grown here ever since. And a lot of it, certainly the medieval garden where we are now, that really was a place where they used absolutely everything that they grew. Those old kind of things coming back. So it all feels kind of right. Love it.
With the weight of brewing history on Simon's shoulders, the moment of truth is at hand.
Hello, how are you? You all right? What are you expecting?
I don't know. I have to admit, I'm not convinced by this yet. You know that, don't you? I mean, I've given you, hopefully champagne flutes are the right things to try.
Perfect, absolutely perfect.
Torre's volunteer gardeners make up the vital tasting panel.
Hello, hello. Come on in.
So the pressure's on.
This now is the first time that anyone else is going to have tried it, and hopefully there'll be some really nice comments on it and they'll really like it. There we go. Okay. Also, I'll just do little bits for you. But have a sip, but like I say, have an open mind.
Yes. There's a freshness to it, isn't it?
Oh, it's very herby, yeah.
The verdict's in. Simon's pulled off a corker.
Actually, it was a lot more pleasant than I thought it might be. It is really refreshing drink, actually, and it's kind of, it's got a real sort of taste of foraging about it, so I quite like it.
Prosecco is so last year. You know, we're over Prosecco. Next year might be the year of the nettle wine.
Time to toast the Abbey's past and a sparkling future.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you, everyone, for all your hard work.
And Simon gets the green light to add a new vintage to his growing range of Devonian wines.
I'm absolutely delighted. You know, it's sort of, you're never quite sure sort of how people are going to react to a new drink. And this is a bit of a quirky, unusual drink, you know. Really, really great feedback. So, yeah, delighted, absolutely delighted.
With plenty more far-out flora to choose from, it looks as though Torre's tradition of atypical tipples is fortified for a good few years to come. In East Devon, it's delivery day for master wheelwright Greg Rowland, as he's due to reunite the restored 1860s Bone Shaker bike with its owner Mike Fenner.
Well, first time it's seen daylight. Give it a check over before I get it to Mike. Bit of a clean, everything covered in dust when it comes out of my shop. It's going to be a little bit of a rickety ride until he's sorted out some bearings and things. So I just love the brake system on this. You twist the handlebars and it pulls a fairly old leather strap, which sort of puts a bit of metal onto the back wheel, which works an absolute treat. Look. So we're not going to be doing 30 miles an hour on it, I hope. If we do, we're not in control of it, that's for sure.
With so much work having gone into the manufacture of the 2 new wheels, Greg's cutting no corners to make sure the 150-year-old bike arrives safe and sound.
It's the most overkill ever for transporting a bicycle, isn't it? I think this is the most luxurious travel this thing's ever had. Pack her up, don't want to ruin Mike's paint.
Battened down and buttoned up, Greg can head off through the Devon lanes.
I really hope Mike likes it. It's been a bit of a tester, and we've really tried hard to get things as original as we could with it and try and make it look exactly as it would have done back in, I think it's 1865. I'm looking forward to seeing the look on his face when he gets it. And actually, I'm quite looking forward to having a go on it. Never ridden one before. It looks like it might be a bit tricky, but we'll give it a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Nearly 15 miles away near Exmouth is the beautiful Bicton Park Botanical Gardens, where Victorians came to promenade and flaunt their latest fads and fashions. It's the perfect place for the Bone Shaker's first road test, and owner Mike is looking forward to scrutinising the results of Greg's efforts.
I've been looking for years to get the wheels built, and no one literally knew how they held together. It doesn't make sense, engineering-wise. The actual front wheel had been in the Science Museum for 2 years, but they were researching it and got nowhere. So Greg has worked on it and he actually found out how it all went together.
Morning, Mike.
Good morning. And what's this lovely thing you've brought me?
Your velocipede with its original wheels, or replicas of the originals.
Isn't that gorgeous? It really is. Really nice. It makes a tremendous difference to it from the original wheels which I had put in, which were wooden spoked ones. And this really lifts it that much more.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
We've had to put our thinking hats on a little bit to get it done. But it's good when it makes you think. You know, I love a job when you can get your teeth into it and you have to think. Oh, I'm glad you're pleased with it.
Yes, very much so, thank you.
It may have been a long old jaunt to get the Bone Shaker roadworthy, but for Mike, it's definitely been worth the wait.
It's really lovely, and you know, those wheels have made a tremendous difference. You can't imagine it, you know, from what it was like. I'm really looking forward to getting it back and putting it back in the collection of old bikes.
Will the Bone Shaker live up to its name on its first ride out?
You need a top hat, mate.
A stovepipe.
Yeah. Me a Sean pipe, Tash like mine, he'll be away. I think it suits him, and he'll be flying on it, I'm sure. Just don't fall off. That's pretty good.
The Bone Shaker may have been out of action for years, but Mike's soon back in the saddle.
When was the last time you rode it?
At least 25 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. You got more than 1 or 2 turns out of it.
Yeah.
Mike makes it look easy, but Greg's feeling the strain as he tries to take her for a spin.
Mr. Pedal! Mr.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Oh, I was into a rhythm then. The thing is, the front wheel's so big, as soon as you turn the handlebars, you know, it's sending you off in any kind of direction. So, obviously, he set the bar fairly high.
Determined to crack the technique, he perseveres.
OK?
I'm going somewhere.
And it's not long before he's bowling along like a true Victorian gentleman.
I tell you what, it's bloody hard work.
Greg can be chuffed that his wheelwright skills, rolled down from generation to generation, have given this historic bike a new lease of life.
I very rarely get to have a go on what I've made. You know, I might make a gun or a carriage or a wagon, and I know they just go out the workshop and I don't see them. And it's really good to have a go on something that I've actually made, see the job start to finish. So I think that's a job well done, and I'm pleased everyone's happy with it.
Next time on Devon and Cornwall, steam buff Jack embarks on an epic roller coaster ride across Devon. But will he make it to the end?
Fire has what we call clinkered over, so we can't raise steam pressure. Serious business.
Thatcher Stephen makes hay at one of his favourite Cornish spots.
It is a beautiful place to work, but we don't get every day like this.
And surprises await under the sea for free divers Georgina and Alice.
It's really dark in there. But then as soon as it got light, there was this enormous seal in the cave.